Now, in a previous episode, I talked about alternatives to Unity because most of us right now are not comfortable using Unity and probably won't be for the rest of our game development career. And I looked at Game Maker Studio, Godot, and Unreal Engine 5. I did say that I was most likely going to be picking Unreal Engine 5, but I wanted to look into Godot because there's something about the simplicity of it and the community that really appealed to me. And it is an engine that I really want to succeed. However, as much as I really love the idea of Godot, I love its simplicity, I love its approach, I love the community, I love that it's open source. There's one thing that stops me from using Godot, and it's a huge issue for me. And that is the fact that Godot cannot export to consoles. Now, I understand why this is the case. Because Godot is open source, it would be impossible to include everything that's needed to export to consoles. All the non-disclosure agreements make that so difficult, actually impossible. Impossible for Godot to come with all that ready-made. Now, there are workarounds to this. Because Godot is open source, you can create a fork if you have access to everything that you need to work with those consoles. But that is quite a lot of work. There are other options in place where you could pay to have that made for you, but it just starts to overcomplicate, increase the complexity, and also increase the cost of creating video games if you want to take them further than Steam. Now, I know for a lot of indie developers out there, a lot of hobbyists, Steam is all you need. And when I released my first video game, Glow, I only released it on Steam. And it stayed on Steam for the first 4 years of its life. But after that, I decided to try and port it to consoles, and I was able to get it on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo Switch relatively easily. And when Glow finally hit those consoles, that's when revenue really started to come in. Glow was pretty much a failure on Steam, but it was a success on consoles. And that, for me, in my game development career, highlighted the importance of consoles. And that made me realize that if I want to be successful as an indie game developer, if I want this to be my career, I have to broaden my horizons and target consoles as well. Every game I make, and every game I will be making in the future, has to have the option of me being able to put it on consoles. And that's why, for me, Godot does not provide that for me, and it doesn't look like it's something that can be provided out of the box at any point. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on Godot. This is just my personal reason as to why it's not for me. And if you really do want to use the engine, like we said, there are ways around it. It adds complexity, adds more work, and can add cost, but there are ways around it if you really want to support Godot and you find that it's the engine for you. But for me, at a time when I was comparing Godot and Unreal like for like, and actually potentially going to decide with Godot, it was the #1 and most important reason why I've decided to stick with Unreal Engine 5. If you do want to find out more information on the alternatives, check out this episode here.